One small kindness, one big secret. The rain was falling hard that night. Cold rain, heavy rain, the kind of rain that makes people rush home and close their doors. Marcus stood outside the courthouse, holding a thin paper in his shaking hands. His shoes were old. His jacket was torn at the sleeve. His face showed fear, pain, and tired years of struggle. Tomorrow morning, a judge would decide his fate. Marcus was a poor black man. The system had never been kind to him. Life had never been fair. And tonight his heart was heavy. He looked up at the dark sky and whispered, "God, please." Marcus did not know one thing. He did not know that the woman he helped just hours ago was the same woman who would decide his future. Let's go back a few hours earlier. It was late at night, almost midnight. Marcus was walking home from his second job. His body hurt. His legs were tired. His stomach was empty. He had worked all day, and still it was not enough. As he walked down a quiet road, he saw something strange. A car was stopped on the side of the road. The lights were on. The hood was open, and next to the car, a woman stood in the rain. She looked scared. Marcus slowed his steps. He told himself, keep walking. He had his own problems, his own case, his own fear. Helping someone could bring trouble, and trouble always found people like him. But then he heard her voice. "Please, is anyone there?" Marcus stopped. He looked around. No one else was there. Just rain. Just darkness. Just her. The woman was well dressed, but her clothes were wet. Her hand was shaking. Her phone was dead. Her car would not start. Marcus took a deep breath. He could walk away, but he didn't. "Ma'am," he said softly, "are you okay?" She turned fast, fear in her eyes. But when she saw Marcus, her face changed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to scare you. My car broke down. I don't know what to do." Marcus nodded. "I can try to help," he said. The woman looked at him, really looked at him. His broken shoes, his tired face, his kind eyes. "Thank you," she said quietly. Marcus opened the hood and looked at the engine. He was not a mechanic, but he knew a little. The rain made everything harder. After a few minutes, he shook his head. "I'm sorry," he said. "I can't fix it, but there's a bus stop not far from here." She sighed. "I don't feel safe here," she said. "Is it dangerous?" Marcus paused. "For some people," he said slowly. "Yes." She understood what he meant. Marcus took off his jacket and gave it to her. "You'll get sick in this rain," he said. She looked shocked. "But you—" "I'll be fine," Marcus said. "I'm used to it." They walked together in the rain. Step by step. Quiet road. Loud thoughts. The woman asked, "Why did you stop?" Marcus smiled sadly. "Because I know what it feels like," he said. "To be alone. To be scared. To feel like nobody cares." She listened. They talked about life. About mistakes. About pain. She asked him, "Are you afraid of tomorrow?" Marcus stopped walking. "Yes," he said honestly. "Tomorrow decides everything." She wanted to ask more, but she didn't. Instead, she said, "Sometimes one good thing can change everything." Marcus laughed softly. "I hope you're right." They reached the bus stop. Marcus handed her his phone. "You can call someone," he said. "I'll wait." She looked at the phone, then at him. "You trust me?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "I don't have much," he said, "but I still trust people." She made the call. A black car arrived minutes later. Before leaving, she gave Marcus his jacket back. "Thank you," she said. "I will never forget this night." Marcus smiled. "I don't even know your name," he said. She paused. "Maybe," she said softly, "we will meet again." She got into the car and drove away. Marcus stood alone in the rain. He did not know who she really was. And he did not know that tomorrow morning, she would sit in front of him, wearing a judge's robe, holding his future in her hands. Marcus did not sleep that night. He lay on his small bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. The sound of rain still lived inside his head. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, the woman by the broken car, her voice, her eyes, and a strange feeling he could not explain. Marcus turned to his side and pulled the thin blanket closer. The room was cold. The walls were bare. A single chair stood in the corner. This was his whole world. He whispered to himself, "Why does this night feel different?" He had helped many people before. Small help, simple help, but this time felt heavy, like the night had followed him home. The next morning came too fast. Marcus stood in front of a broken mirror. He washed his face with cold water and fixed his shirt. It was the only clean one he had. Today was court day. He folded the paper carefully and put it in his pocket. His hands were shaking again. Outside, the city was loud. Cars moved fast. People walked with purpose. Nobody looked at him. Nobody cared. Marcus walked slowly toward the courthouse. Each step felt heavier than the last. Inside the courtroom, Marcus sat alone on a hard wooden bench. The room smelled old, cold, serious. He watched other people come in, some with lawyers, some with family, some crying. Marcus had no one. He thought about the woman again. He remembered how she listened to him, really listened, like his words mattered. No one listens to people like me, he thought. The clock on the wall moved slowly. Tick, tick, tick. His heart followed the sound. Back to the night before. Marcus remembered something strange. After the woman made the phone call, she did not rush away. She stayed for a moment longer. She looked at him like she wanted to say something important, but she didn't. Instead, she asked, "Marcus, do you believe people can change?" He was surprised she knew his name. He must have said it without thinking. "I don't know," he answered. "I want to believe that." She nodded slowly, like his answer mattered more than he knew. That moment stayed with him. Marcus Hill. The voice in the courtroom pulled him back. His name. Marcus stood up. His legs felt weak. He walked forward and stood where they told him to stand. He could feel eyes on him. He could feel judgment before any words were spoken. The prosecutor spoke first. His voice was sharp, cold. He talked about Marcus's past, old mistakes, old records, things Marcus wished he could erase. Marcus lowered his head. He wanted to speak. He wanted to explain. But words felt stuck. People see a record, Marcus thought, not a person. The judge had not entered yet. Marcus looked at the empty seat at the front of the room. He felt strange again. That same heavy feeling from the night before. His chest tightened. He remembered the woman's words. Sometimes one good thing can change everything. Marcus held onto that thought like a rope over deep water. The door at the side of the courtroom opened. Everyone stood up. The judge walked in. Marcus lifted his head, and his world stopped. It was her, the same woman, the rain-soaked stranger, the woman from the broken car. Now she wore a black robe. Her face was calm, strong, powerful. Marcus felt dizzy. His heart began to race. No, this can't be real, he thought. She sat down slowly. Her eyes moved across the room. Then they stopped. They landed on Marcus. For a second, just 1 second, her eyes changed. She recognized him. Marcus saw it clearly. She knew. The room was silent. Marcus's mind screamed. He wanted to run. He wanted to disappear. Everything he had said to her. Everything he had shared. His fear. His past. His case. She knew it all. The judge looked away and spoke in a steady voice. "Please be seated." Her voice was calm, but Marcus could see something behind her eyes. Memory. Conflict. Truth. The prosecutor continued speaking, unaware of what had just happened. Marcus barely heard the words. All he could think was one question. Will she remember my kindness? Or will she only see my record? The judge listened without emotion. She took notes. She stayed quiet. Too quiet. Marcus's hands were shaking again. The woman he helped. The woman he trusted. The woman he did not even know, now held his future. The judge raised her head. Her eyes met Marcus's once more. And she said, "Mr. Hill, I have a question for you." Marcus swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. The room leaned into silence. And Marcus knew, whatever happened next, would change his life forever. The courtroom was silent. Too silent. Marcus stood still, facing forward, but his heart was beating fast. The judge's question still hung in the air. "Mr. Hill, I have a question for you." Marcus swallowed. "Yes, Your Honor," he said again, his voice low. The judge looked at him carefully, not like a judge looks at a case, but like a person looks at another person. "Tell this court," she said, "who you really are." The words hit him harder than any charge. Who he really was. Marcus did not know where to begin. His mind went back many years. Back to a small apartment with peeling paint. Back to a tired mother who worked all night and still smiled in the morning. Back to a young boy who learned early that life was not fair. Marcus spoke slowly. "I grew up poor," he said. My mother raised me alone. She taught me to be kind. She taught me to work hard. He paused. But the streets taught me something else. The prosecutor watched closely. The room stayed quiet. Marcus continued. I made mistakes when I was young. I don't hide that. I was angry. I was lost. And I was tired of being invisible. The judge's pen stopped moving. She listened. Marcus took a deep breath. There was one night, he said, that changed everything. The room leaned in. Marcus explained how he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. How police cars came fast. How no one listened to his side. I didn't have a lawyer, he said. I didn't understand the words they used. I just knew I was already guilty in their eyes. His voice shook, but he kept going. That record followed me everywhere. Jobs, homes, even hope. Marcus looked down at his hands. I tried to do better, he said. I worked 2 jobs. I stayed out of trouble. But the past never left me. The judge shifted slightly in her chair. Her face stayed calm, but her eyes softened. Marcus did not notice. He was lost in his truth. Last night, he said, I thought about giving up. The room froze. I thought maybe tomorrow would be the end of me. Not jail, but something worse. Silence filled the courtroom. Marcus lifted his head. But then, I met someone. The judge's eyes lifted sharply. Marcus continued, unaware. A stranger. She was scared. Alone. In trouble. He smiled faintly. For a moment, I forgot about myself. I just helped her. The prosecutor stood quickly. Your Honor, he said, this story is not relevant. The judge raised her hand. Let him speak, she said. Her voice was steady. Firm. Marcus looked surprised. I don't know why I helped her, Marcus said. Maybe because helping her made me feel human again. He looked directly at the judge now. I don't ask for pity, he said. I just want to be seen. His words hung heavy in the air. The judge took a slow breath. She remembered the rain, the jacket, the phone, the way he said, I still trust people. She remembered how safe she felt with a stranger who had nothing. The prosecutor tried again. Mr. Hill, he said sharply, are you saying you deserve mercy because you helped someone? Marcus shook his head. No, he said. I'm saying I deserve truth. The room stayed silent. The judge nodded slightly. She leaned forward. Mr. Hill, she said carefully, do you believe the law is always fair? Marcus hesitated. No, he said honestly. But I believe people can be. The judge closed her file slowly. That sound echoed in the room. Marcus's heart skipped. This moment felt bigger than a case. It felt like a test. The judge looked at Marcus one last time before speaking. Her voice was calm, but her words were heavy. This court will take a short recess, she said. Marcus's eyes widened. A recess? People began to move, to whisper. Marcus stood alone, confused, afraid, and hopeful all at once. As the judge stood up, her eyes met his again. This time, she did not look away, and Marcus understood something. She was not just judging his case. She was judging his heart. As the judge walked out, Marcus whispered to himself, did my kindness save me, or was it already too late? The door closed behind the judge. The courtroom noise faded away. For the first time that day, she was alone. She walked into her private chamber and stopped near the window. Outside, the city moved as always. Cars passed. People laughed. Life went on. But inside her chest, nothing was calm. The judge placed both hands on the table and took a deep breath. She had worn the robe for many years. She had decided hundreds of cases. She had sent people to prison. She had freed others. She believed in the law. But today the law felt heavy. She closed her eyes, and the rain came back. The cold night, the broken car, the fear she tried to hide. And him, Marcus. She remembered how she stood alone on that dark road. How unsafe she felt. How small the world suddenly seemed. She remembered thinking, what if no one stops? Then she remembered his voice. Ma'am, are you okay? Not loud, not rude, just kind. The judge sat down slowly. She had not planned to meet him like that. She had not planned to hear his story. She had not planned for her past night to walk into her courtroom. But here he was, the man who gave her his jacket, the man who trusted her with his only phone, the same man now standing alone in front of the law. She opened the case file again. Marcus Hill. The record was there. Charges, dates, words without feelings. On paper, he looked like many others. But paper did not show kindness. Paper did not show fear. Paper did not show the way he looked at her in the rain, asking for nothing. The judge leaned back in her chair. She asked herself a question she had never asked before. What if I had never met him? Would this be easy? Yes. She would follow the rules. She would follow the system. She would never think twice. But now she knew him. And knowing someone changed everything. She stood up and walked slowly across the room. She remembered what Marcus said in court. I just want to be seen. Those words cut deep. Because she had once felt the same. Years ago, before she was a judge, she had also been judged. Doubt, fear, pressure. She fought hard to sit where she sat now. She believed the law was strong. But she also believed people were more than their worst mistake. A knock came at the door. Your Honor, a voice said softly. The prosecutor is waiting. She closed her eyes again. This was the moment. She could hide behind the robe, or she could face the truth. Back in the courtroom, Marcus sat on the bench. His hands were cold. People around him whispered. He did not hear them. His mind was loud. He replayed every word he had said, every look the judge gave him. He thought about the woman again, the way she said, maybe we will meet again. He never thought it would be like this. The door opened. Everyone stood. The judge returned. Her face was calm, controlled, professional. No one in the room could see the storm inside her. She sat down. Please be seated, she said. Her eyes moved to Marcus. They stayed there longer this time. The prosecutor stood up quickly. Your Honor, he said, the facts of this case are clear. The judge raised her hand. Facts, she said slowly, are important. The room grew quiet. But so is context. The prosecutor froze. Marcus lifted his head. The judge turned slightly. Mr. Hill, she said, you said last night you believed people could be kind. Marcus nodded. Yes, Your Honor. She looked at him carefully. Do you believe one moment could define a life? She asked. Marcus thought for a second. No, he said. I believe a life is made of many moments. The judge held his gaze. The room felt heavy. She turned to the prosecutor. This court, she said, will review this case differently. Gasps moved through the room. Marcus's heart jumped. Differently? The judge picked up her pen. Her next words would change everything. She took a breath and spoke. The courtroom felt smaller now, like the walls had moved closer. Marcus stood in the same place, but the air around him was heavy. Every breath felt slow. Every sound felt loud. The judge sat straight in her chair. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp, focused. She was not looking at a file. She was looking at Marcus. Mr. Hill, the judge said, this court has reviewed your record. Marcus nodded. I know what it says, he replied quietly. The prosecutor shifted in his seat, ready to speak. The judge raised her hand again. Before I decide anything, she said, I have one final question. The room went silent. Marcus's heart began to race. The judge leaned forward slightly. Why did you stop last night? She asked. The question hit Marcus harder than expected. Not what he did, not who he helped, but why. Marcus blinked. He did not answer right away. His mind went back to the road, the rain, the fear, the choice. I could have walked away, he said slowly. I almost did. The prosecutor smiled slightly. But you didn't, the judge said. No, Marcus replied. Because I saw someone who needed help. The judge waited. Marcus continued. I know what people think when they see me. I know how the world looks at men like me. His voice was steady now. But last night, none of that mattered. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, he said, kindness does not erase crime. The judge turned to him. No, she said, but it reveals character. The room stirred. Marcus felt something shift. The judge turned back to Marcus. Did you expect anything in return? She asked. Marcus shook his head. No, Your Honor. Not even thanks. Marcus smiled faintly. I don't help people for thanks. The judge's fingers tightened slightly on her pen. She looked down at the case file. Then she closed it. The sound echoed through the courtroom. Marcus's heart jumped. The judge stood. This court, she said, does not exist only to punish. Her voice was calm but strong. It exists to protect, to understand, and to decide fairly. The prosecutor's face tightened. Marcus could barely breathe. The judge continued. Mr. Hill has a record. That is true. Marcus lowered his eyes. But he also has something many never show when no one is watching. She looked directly at Marcus. Compassion. The room was completely silent now. The judge took a slow step forward. Last night, she said carefully, this man saw someone in trouble and chose kindness. Marcus froze. People looked at each other. The prosecutor's eyes widened slightly. The judge raised her hand before anyone could speak. This court will not discuss how I know this, she said. But Marcus knew. His heart pounded. The judge took a deep breath. She paused. This was the moment. Everything stood still. She looked at Marcus one final time. And then she spoke. This court finds, she said slowly. Marcus felt his knees weaken. He held his breath. The courtroom stopped breathing. The judge stood still, her hands resting on the desk. Every eye in the room was on her. Marcus felt his heart pounding in his chest. His mouth was dry. His hands were cold. This court finds. The words hung in the air. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought of his mother. He thought of long nights at work. He thought of the rain. He waited. That the evidence presented is not enough to support the full charge. The room gasped. Marcus opened his eyes. Did he hear that right? The judge continued. This court also recognizes that the defendant has shown clear effort to change his life. The prosecutor stood up fast. Your Honor. The judge raised her hand. I'm not finished. Her voice was calm, but firm. Marcus felt weak. His knees shook. He held onto the rail in front of him. The judge looked at the people in the room. Justice, she said, is not blind. It sees facts, but must also see people. She turned back to Marcus. Mr. Hill, she said, this court finds you not guilty on the primary charge. The room exploded in sound. Gasps. Whispers. Shout. Marcus froze. Not guilty. The judge continued before anyone could interrupt. The remaining charge is dismissed due to lack of evidence. Silence returned, heavier than before. Marcus's chest tightened. He did not cry. He could not move. It felt unreal. The judge lowered her voice. You are free to go. For a moment, Marcus did not understand the words. Free? The bailiff stepped closer and gently nodded. Marcus took one slow step back, then another. His legs felt weak, but he was standing. Free. People watched him as he walked away from the stand. Some stared. Some whispered. Some looked angry. Marcus did not look at them. He looked at the floor. Because if he looked up, he might break. The judge sat back down. Her face was calm again, but her hands were tight. The prosecutor gathered his papers without speaking. The courtroom slowly emptied. But Marcus stayed still. Mr. Hill, the judge said. Marcus looked up. Yes, Your Honor. Please remain, she said. I need a word with you. The room froze again. Marcus's heart jumped. A word? After freedom? People filed out. The doors closed. Only a few remained. The judge stood. She stepped down from the bench. Not as a judge. As a person. Marcus watched her approach. He did not know what to say. She stopped in front of him. For the first time, her voice softened. You could have walked away, she said quietly. Marcus nodded. But you didn't. He looked at her confused. I didn't know who you were, he said honestly. She gave a small smile. That's why it mattered. She took a breath. Last night, she said, I was afraid. Marcus remembered. The rain, she continued. The silence. And then you. Marcus listened. You reminded me, she said, that the law has meaning only when it serves humanity. Marcus swallowed. She stepped back slightly. There are things I cannot say here, she added. Marcus nodded. I understand. She looked at him one last time. Be careful, she said. Your life starts again today. Marcus walked toward the door. His hand touched the handle. He paused. Your Honor, he said softly. Yes. Thank you. She nodded once. That was enough. As Marcus stepped outside, the sun broke through the clouds. The rain was gone, but the story was not finished. Because one final truth still waited to be spoken, Marcus stepped outside the courthouse. The air felt different, lighter. For the first time in years, he did not feel the weight on his chest. The sun touched his face, warm and gentle, like it was welcoming him back to life. People walked past him, but Marcus stood still. Free. The word felt strange in his mind. He took a deep breath and slowly let it out. He began walking down the steps. Each step felt like he was leaving something behind. Fear, shame, the past. Halfway down, a voice called his name. Marcus. He turned. The judge stood at the top of the steps. No robe. No courtroom. Just a woman. May I walk with you? She asked. Marcus nodded. Yes, ma'am. They walked side by side in silence. Not as judge and defendant. As two people who shared one night. I owe you the truth, she said quietly. Marcus looked at her. I knew who you were, she continued. Not your name, but your heart. I saw it before the case ever began. Marcus stopped walking. He turned to face her. That night, she said, you did not see a judge. You did not see power. You saw a scared woman. Marcus nodded slowly. And today, she added, I did not see a criminal. I saw the same man from the rain. She paused. You never asked who I was, she said. Marcus smiled faintly. It didn't matter, he replied. You needed help. Her eyes filled with emotion. I became a judge to protect the law, she said. But that night reminded me why the law exists. Marcus listened quietly. For people, she finished. Not papers. They reached the bottom of the steps. Cars passed. Life moved on. She turned to him. Marcus, she said, promise me something. What is it? He asked. Live free, she said. Not just outside. Inside too. Marcus swallowed. I will try, he said. She smiled. I know you will. She reached into her bag and handed him a small card. Call this number, she said. Not for help. For opportunity. Marcus looked at the card. Why? He asked. Because kindness should not be forgotten, she replied. She turned to leave. Marcus watched her walk away. Before she reached her car, he spoke. Mom. She turned. You never told me your name either. She smiled. That's okay, she said. Some meetings don't need names. Marcus stood there for a long moment. Then he looked at the card again. Then at the sky. Then at his hands. Hands that once held fear. Hands that now held a future. Weeks later, Marcus sat in a small room, wearing a clean shirt. Across from him sat a man who listened carefully. Not judged. Not rushed. Just listened. The job was simple. Honest. Fair. Marcus started work the next Monday. Months passed. Marcus walked taller now. He helped others when he could. Not because he wanted something back, but because he knew kindness had power. One rainy evening, Marcus walked down the same road where everything changed. He stopped. He looked at the spot where the car once stood. He smiled. The narrator's voice softens. He helped a stranger when he had nothing. He did not know her name. He did not know her power. But he knew what was right. And in the end, that was enough. Final message. Never think your kindness is small. You never know who is watching. You never know whose life you are touching. And you never know when kindness will come back to you.